I remember in 2002 when I got my Master Certified Coach certification from the ICF, the International Coach Federation. So many people asked me, what exactly is the coaching process? Well, Jaymie Pottinger explains it beautifully with his acronym FACE, which is further explained in his book, The Face of Leadership. Let's listen to Jaymie Pottinger. Welcome to the Excellent Executive Coaching Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Katrina Bruce, and today we have Jaymie Pottinger. Jaymie, welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being here with you today.
So, Jaymie, you mentioned that you're a leadership coach, and I wanted to ask you, how do you help clients be more resilient to bounce back from failure?
Wow, it's always a running theme, people struggling with failure. And we introduce clients to what we call the bounce back theory. And the bounce back theory first starts off with, leaders or teams accepting the fact that they have experienced failure. And then after understanding that, the next step is to assess the failure. Like a surgeon, you spend some time with the failure to see exactly what are some of the things that you did correctly. What are some of the things that you could have done better with? Because sometimes your idea was great, the timing was great, but you just had the wrong people. So the assessment of your failure is critically important in order for you to move forward. And then after assessing the failure, as a leader, what you want to do is also anchor your attention on your purpose. And your purpose, whether it's your vision, your why, what is it? Why is it that I'm doing what I'm doing? And why is it that I need to push forward to getting the excellence and the success that I need in getting that done? But we also know that by yourself, you can go fast, but with others, you can go much further. So you need to then take the next step in terms of acquiring the right network, having the right people around you, securing the right team of people so that you can get the support and the feedback that you need in order for you to not just reflect on your failure, but you can look forward with a mindset that you're looking to conquer and to do better than you did when you had your first experience with that given task or that project.
Yeah, you really look at the failure, the positive, the negative, so that the learning is there. And then you shift their energy towards something positive like their purpose and more long-term vision. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So you shift, and after you do that, make that shift, then that looking at the long-term goals gives some positive energy, and that gives a push to keep moving forward as opposed to just giving up on everything and turning your back on the dreams or the goals or the plans that you had.
Very well explained. How do you unlock the power of awareness and leadership?
Well, the unlocking of the power of awareness is super important. I consider that to be the superpower when it comes on to leadership in terms of understanding who you are, where you are, what you're doing, what is expected, and your community. So unlocking that, the first thing that I recommend to leaders sometimes to have conversations with colleagues or persons who are trusted guides to share with you exactly what is that they observe about you when it comes on to your strengths and your weaknesses and how they think that you're doing. And we will sometimes recommend that you could do one of those scientific tests to see exactly where you are, because understanding where you are and who you are, as it said, if you don't know yourself, is very difficult for you to grow yourself. So when you take those steps in securing feedback or feed forward with information, then that will help to bolster you and give you the courage and the strength and develop greater confidence, because you will have now unlocked exactly what you're capable of doing. And you'll also be able to see your weak spots or your blind spots. And by having that information, you're now empowered to do better, because that is now the lens through which you'll operate, make decisions, interact, and bask in the creations that you have in terms of your ideas.
So, Jaymie, feedback and feed forward is essential for awareness. When you say scientific test as a way to become more aware, what do you mean by scientific test? What are you referring to?
So, for example, you have like the DISC or predictive index. You have a number of scientific tools that sometimes allows you to recognize exactly some of the strengths or some of the weaknesses or some of the hidden gems that you have as a leader. Because sometimes you're not fully aware of your background or some of the struggles that you've had or some of the failures that you've experienced. And those things sometimes impact the way you view yourself as a leader. And you may even self-sabotage as a result of not having clarity about your full self and your strength. So these scientific assessment provides you with further information that could serve to empower and to fuel you forward in not only making decisions, but also choosing your environment and choosing the right people that you need a part of your team, and how you take the feedback that you receive in making decisions.
Absolutely. Now, a lot of CEOs are very lonesome at the top, and people don't dare give them feedback. So what do you say about that?
So, what I share about that, it has a lot to do with the environment that you create in a conversational capacity, whereby as CEOs, I'll share with CEOs that I've worked with, I'll share that you have to create an environment whereby it allows for tension, it allows for feedback, and it allows persons to feel comfortable that they're also a part of your journey as a leader, and that your success is their success, and that they will not be ridiculed if they share with you in a candid nature where you are and the impact that you're having. So if you fail to create that environment whereby good conflict can take place, or feedback is encouraged and supported, then you will not be able to receive that. But if you are a CEO in a lonely position, what I normally share then maybe you need to secure yourself a community, whether your community has mentors or coaches who are in it to support you. They're in it to be honest with you. And by doing that, you now have a community or a network that will give you the support or the information that you can use to improve or to remove certain things that were preventing you from performing at the level that you're capable of performing at.
Yes. Again, it's a process of learning, self-learning, learning from others. And the feedback is essential. It's really, you're saying, to create the environment of people that could give you that kind of direct and honest feedback.
And also getting that honest feedback whereby you have to be open for others to push back your ideas. Because when you create that environment, you have creative tension, and the creative tension not only builds trust, but it allows for a commitment, and it allows you to have a greater commitment to your vision and your purpose. And once you're committed to that, then you are even more open to receive, because you're about growing and not just remaining in a stagnant position as a leader. So once you're in that environment, or you feel that way at the top, it means that you need to do some restructuring in terms of the immediate community that you have that is either supporting you or are sharing with you what they are observing.
Right. In my process, I do research work, qualitative research work. So you help the person create the environment, but then I go in the company and find out what the people really think, both in their strength and what would make the relationship more productive. So it's another form, but it's very interesting. I wanted to ask you, how do you help people to show up in a room with the right energy to inspire? I'm fascinated by this question.
Wow. I like that question. I don't know. There are times when I've been in rooms, whether I'm doing a training or stuff, and you see a leader or a team member, they show up and it's almost as if they have an expiration date into the back of their necks based on how low their energy is. And then when you look at the room, you see exactly the impact that have on the entire room. Then when you look at the numbers in terms of levels of productivity, you see how that low level of energy impacts that entire organization. And then when that turnaround or that shift takes place, you see exactly how things can transform. So what I normally share with folks going in a room is that you start off by celebrating your strengths, understanding that as a leader or a team member, you will never, ever be strong or superpower in every area. So celebrating your strengths, and celebrating your strength is one thing, but the next thing that you have to do too, you have to be willing to develop your own abilities, because showing up with confidence means that you know what you know, and wherever you are, you're confident about sharing that, even if everybody's not fully responding or supporting it. And the same thing, like we said before, you have to secure mentorship and support, not because you think you're good at something, mean that you're totally equipped to deliver. So having mentorship and having a support group will give you that environment that will help to bolster your path as you do that, as you develop confidence. And as we said earlier, being willing to accept feedback, because sometimes you walk in a room and you're confident about what you're doing, and because the feedback may not be what you're anticipating, that may serve to throw you off your game, and that your entire journey in that space is shattered. But when you are willing to accept feedback, it will not take away from your confidence because you are on a growth path with a growth mindset, always open to learn, even if it is in an area that you consider yourself to be an expert at. And the final thing that I normally share with teams or leaders is that you have to be willing to stretch outside of your comfort zone. And when you're willing to stretch outside of your comfort zone, then every zone is yours because you're confident about who you are. And if it's not about you, then you'll know that it's an opportunity for me to learn. And learning may mean listening. Learning may mean taking a step back, or learning may mean going all the way in, willing to get some compliments or even willing to get feedback that may not be all complimentary.
Yes, that's absolutely a growing mindset. You've written a book called The Face of Leadership, and FACE is your acronym. Can you lead us through your acronym and what it means and give us examples?
The face of leadership, the first letter in the acronym F is for failure. And I would say as leaders, we have all experienced failure. But one of the things that has happened in society and in most corporate organizations or in leadership is that people who would have failed, sometimes they're treated as if they have the plague. When really and truly, failure can be treated as a gift. If managed well, it can be used to set the right platform or to expand the latitude of a leader or their team. And then foresight, the capacity to envision all the future challenges or opportunities and allow a leader to be strategic on positioning themselves and their team in terms of moving forward. And then the A, awareness, understanding your strengths, understanding your weaknesses, and understanding your gaps. Having that level of awareness will allow you to know exactly the support that you need to secure, and also understanding where your sweet spots are, your blind spots, and also knowing who you need to pull around your team so that you can have balancers who help to take you to the vision that you're seeking to achieve. And then agility. I was working with an organization recently, and they're on the brink of going into extinction. And the thing about it is that they operated like dinosaurs for a long time instead of being agile, whereby being willing to pivot and to make changes and to adjust when adjusting is necessary. So having an agile mindset and an agile approach as a leader will always serve to benefit your organization, to benefit your sustainable growth and your relevance among your clients, your relevance among your team, and a relevance among your investors or all those who you serve. And my favorite is clarity, because clarity, that's the C that goes for understanding your what. What is it that you're trying to achieve? What is it that you're trying to get rid of? And then your why, your reason to why you're doing what you're doing, and how, meaning the vehicle that you're using to get there. And the most important piece is the who. Who are the people that you want to take on the bus with you as you lead? And I think that's clarity, because clarity is really the Windex for successful leadership. And then the next C, confidence, deals with believing in your skill set and understanding that you have unique skills that you bring to the table and you're always on a path of developing them. So when you walk in a room, you're automatically inspiring, motivating, and assisting in the transformation of whatever is happening there. And I always say this, that energy is critical. As a leader, you have to have the energy, because you're like the thermostat. You set the temperature when you walk in the room. You set the temperature on the team, and based on what you bring, that's what they give back to you. And many times as leaders, for execution, many times we have great plans, we have great dreams, we have great teams, but we're scared of pulling the trigger in terms of making the move, acting on our decisions and acting on our plans. So that's the face of leadership there, and what the acronyms stand for when you spell the word FACE, with each letter standing for 2 words.
I love the acronym.
Thank you.
Because it englobes a lot of things of the coaching process too.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us where people can purchase your book.
So the book, The Face of Leadership, can be found on Amazon, and it can also be found on Barnes & Noble. So you could check any of those areas and you could get the Kindle or the hard copy version in any of those 2 areas.
Wow. Thank you very much. Thank you for this wonderful interview.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Excellent Executive Coaching Podcast. You can subscribe to all future podcasts at excellentexecutivecoaching.com. Join us each Wednesday to learn more about the latest trends in leadership techniques and bring your coaching to the next level. To learn more about Dr. Burris's CEO Mastermind, use the contact form at excellentexecutivecoaching.com.